Okay. Hello, everyone. How are we today? Good. Awesome. Awesome. So my name is Angela Delphine Meckler. My pronouns are she and her, and I am one of the MAPC co-chairs. I coordinate the employer side of things. I'm also the Associate Director of Residence Life at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to let my counterpart Pooja introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Pooja, pronoun she, her, hers. I am the other MAPC co-chair. I'm on the candidate side though. So if you're a candidate, you probably have been getting lots of emails from me. Currently not in Res Life, but I did my undergrad work at Salisbury, my grad work at Bloomsburg, and then my professional journey started at Salisbury as well. So we are so excited to have you all here with us today.
Yes. So we're going to get started. Brief overview. We want to talk about MAPC 2022 and show you what this virtual job placement conference would look like. In addition, we're going to actually walk through the scheduler platform so you can see it and have an understanding of how to schedule interviews and where it is located. And then we're also going to give some tips for communication with employers. We will then give some tips for the job search process. So we know that some folks in the room may not be attending MAPC. That's okay. Please consider though, if you haven't made a decision yet, it is only $25 per candidate, $40 per employers if you know anyone that is looking to hire people right now. And so it's a really great tool and a great way to connect with some awesome jobs in our region. So we'll give some tips for the search process overall. So we'll give you some virtual job search process tips. We'll talk about preparing a resume and a cover letter, how to follow up appropriately with employers, and then some tips for putting in applications. And I will be sharing a spreadsheet for the job search with folks who want it after this presentation. And then we'll give some interview prep tips overall, and then our list of what not to do. And then at the end, if you have any questions, let us know. We really want this to be an interactive session. So if you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and our lovely host, Mark, will help us with seeing those and reading them to us.
All right, so just kind of an overview of our virtual placement conference that we're doing this year, very similar to last year if you were involved with that as well. But what it looks like, we use a platform, what we call mapcscheduler.com, where we upload our employers and our candidates, and we use this platform to schedule interviews with employers and candidates. It's pretty user-friendly. And it helps kind of like keep everything in track so you can see your schedule as well as employer schedules, when their availability is, and things of that nature. Kind of giving you a more in-depth rundown of what MAPC Scheduler looks like. If Angela will pop it up for me.
Yes, bear with me as I am a grandma with technology. I also have a bar where I can I'm struggling to see my tabs. So if you give me 1 second, this is embarrassing. Let me stop my share real quick. Sorry. Whenever you share, there's like a bar with your tabs and you can't see everything. Okay. As my email's going through as well. Share now. Okay. All right.
All right, so this is our test site. So it may look slightly different within what you may what yours may look slightly different. But at the top, this is kind of what your home will look like. On the left, you'll have any upcoming interviews you have. So this is more for day of stuff. Then at the top, you'll have some, you can see your schedule. Cool thing here is you can also block out time that works for you and doesn't. So say like I already blocked some of that time out that's in the dark gray, but if you scroll down, I blocked out like noon, say you have lunch, or if you're in classes and you can't do anything during your class times, if you just double click a time slot, it will block it off from your schedule so that employers know not to book anything for you during those times. And employers will do the same thing for them as well for their schedule, depending on what their day looks like for interviews. At the top as well, if you go to the next side, you have messages. So if employers message you or you message someone, that will all be there for you to then respond. If you go over to view listings, you will see this is a fake posting, but you'll see all the job positions that are available, as well as the full posting for it, the messages, and then you can apply as well for that position straight through there. And then profile. This is very important. At the top, please upload your resume to there. That way, when you're applying for the job, it makes it very simple for you to then just go ahead and apply because your resume is already saved. And then if you go back to me, Angela, to profiles again, and then uploading your education level so that employers know where you are with your education. So it's helpful for them to see which candidates are looking for master's required programs or bachelor's required programs or grad assistantships and things of that nature. If you go to account, you just have your settings, passwords, things like that. If you ever have any tech issues, you can always go to help and support and then reach out to our MAPC scheduler folk, and they're very quick to respond with any issues, and you can always reach out to them if you're having issues with your account. So that's kind of just a brief glance of MAPC scheduler. Kind of just preparing for MAPC 2, again, making sure you're updating your current resume. Look for interviews in advance and reach out to sign up. I know a lot of schools are starting to get in the swing. We're just about a week out of setting up interviews, so make sure you're reaching out in advance, messaging them through the portal, and then if they're interested, they'll schedule that interview for you and then get you with their virtual room, whether they're doing Zoom or other platforms. And then
So some tips for communicating with employers. It's really important that when you connect with an employer to set a professional tone at the beginning. Make sure that you research the employer and know their title, that you're spelling their name correctly, those kind of things in advance. Through Scheduler, you should have access to that information, at least spelling their names correctly. But if you want to go the extra step, it's nice if they are, say, a doctor, that you put that information in there. And then try not to use slang or casual language. Again, this is a potential employer. This is someone you may be working for. And so it's just really important to set, that professional tone, and not using informal language, useful sentences, those kind of things. Do your research on the institution and the position. If you are not interested, do not apply. It's really important that you're cognizant of the time that you are taking from the employers. And so try to do your research. If it's an institution that you're like, I would never work for them, don't apply. If you're location balancing and it's too far, just be really cognizant of that and do your research in advance. You want to know what is involved with that position before you interview in case you get asked specific questions about the job. I actually just went through the job search process and started my new position in January. One of the questions was, why this role? Why this job? And so it's really important to be able to highlight those specifics of what drew you to the position and maybe some things that are unique to that position that really stood out to you. You should also know all the basics about an institution, whether they're public or private, religious or non-religious, all gender or single gender, etc. It's just really important because that speaks a lot to the mission of the institution. And it's also really important to know, if you are applying to, say, a single gender institution, you probably want to know that in advance because a lot of the questions during the interview will most likely highlight the identity of the institution. And then respond to an employer inquiry on MAPC Scheduler as soon as possible. You really don't want employers to be waiting on an interview. If you decide to decline an interview or take an interview, you want to do it as soon as possible so that the employers can get you scheduled.
So tips for the job search, preparing for a virtual interview. Similar to what Angela was saying before, research the position and institution, kind of know all of their mission, values, all of that stuff. Um, Research, are there any changes coming to the university or division? Maybe they have them on their website, kind of just making sure you know what school you're interviewing with. And if you can, know who you're meeting with as well. Just so you can kind of get an like know who you're speaking to, names, so that you're prepared for that as well. Important, check your technology, test your microphone, make sure your background is professional and clear from distractions. We kind of want to make sure that you're set up for success with technology and making sure that you are able to successfully interview for that school virtually. Just for success, even though it's virtual, treat it as an in-person interview. You're wearing your business casual or business professional clothing. Please continue to do that for a virtual setting as well. And then here we'll share some of these links later, but we have an online thing for virtual tips, interview tips for you to take a look at as well. Preparing your resume and cover letter. Some resume tips for you. Please try to condense it to 2 pages max if possible. You're trying to get the big points out there for the people looking at your interview, so then you can talk about more about that during your interview process. Review for grammar and spelling errors. They will find them, I promise. So please just double check, proofread, do what you need to. Make sure your formatting is consistent. You're kind of going with the flow and keeping it consistent throughout the whole thing. Add all of your relevant experience and skills that align with the position. You most likely won't be able to fit every job internship you've ever had. I personally, I have one big resume that's like 7 pages long of like everything I've done. And then I kind of tailor my resumes to what position I'm applying for, with copy and pasting and adding bits and pieces for that specific job that I'm applying for. And then have someone look over it. Again, proofread, friend, professor, supervisor, etc. If you're going into student affairs or res life, make sure you have someone in that field looking over your resume, because they know what to look for and things like that. Cover letter tips. Highlight why you want this job and why you deserve it. That's your time to kind of give why you want this job, what makes you qualified, why they should look at you over all the other candidates they're interviewing. Again, review for grammar and spelling errors, and then have someone review it as well for you.
Awesome. So employer follow-up. You always want to send a thank you after the interview. In most cases, this is an email, but if you're an internal candidate or you go to an on-campus in-person interview, try to hand out thank you cards before you leave. This really helps you to stand out as a candidate, and it really just like lets the employer know that you appreciated their time. In addition, try to follow up in a week if you do not hear back from the employer. Try not to bombard them too soon after a first round interview. Sometimes there are just other emergencies on campus, and the job search process gets pushed to the side for employers. Additionally, when it comes to MAPC, some folks, there may be just a slight gap between the MAPC conference and then working through their applications to get second round interviews set up. Be patient with employers, but also check in a week if you haven't heard anything, just to kind of see where they are with the process. And a really great way of asking that without saying, hey, did I get the job? Or hey, are you considering me? Is asking, hey, my name is so-and-so. I interviewed you with you at MAPC. I just wanted to see where you are with the process. It's just a polite way of seeing what their timeline looks like in the moment. Can you tell we're struggling to talk today? It feels like a Friday. It's not, but it feels like a Friday. In addition, when you're putting in applications, you really want to put a lot of thought into the criteria for your search process in advance. Like I said, it's okay to have criteria for yourself, but you want to make sure you're doing that research in advance and you know exactly what you want from a position and what your non-negotiables are. Are you location bound? Is there a specific functional area that you want to work in? Or are you open to anything? And are there some that you're like, ooh, I don't think I could do that? Do you want a private or public institution? Does it not matter? Do you want to work at a liberal arts or non-liberal arts, religious or non-religious? What does that look like for you? And just kind of process through what those look like. In addition, you should create an Excel spreadsheet for your search to log every position you applied for. It's just like a really big document that I didn't want to put in here. And so if it would be helpful, I will take emails at the end of this presentation for folks who want access to my personal spreadsheet and the information I created. I would put in information like my first interview, details from that interview, who I met with, who's in charge of the department, things like that. And it really just helps to stay organized during the search. And then put in as many applications as you can based on your criteria. It's a little bit challenging when you're location bound, but that's okay to be location bound. Full transparency, when I went through MAPC after graduating with my master's, I was location bound because my current husband, my fiance at the time, and I are from the Pittsburgh area and wanted to be close to our family. And so for me, it was really important to navigate the search by sticking to my region, but that also limits options. And so, do what is best for you. Don't let anyone persuade you to do otherwise, but, definitely just listen to yourself and navigate some of those non-negotiables.
All right, so interview preparation. Now that you've gotten through all of the applying, you've got that interview set with that employer, you're getting ready for the interview. This is the main meat of you trying to get that job. Practice, practice, practice. In here, we have a job search packet, and it's a good resource. It has a lot of like practice questions in there for you that you can go through. So you can kind of get some ideas of what questions they may ask, so you can kind of practice of how you're going to answer it. Great resource to use in order to get prepared. Also, something I know I did is I had a supervisor that like just went through questions with me and just asking me questions. Prepare your elevator speech. Take about 3 minutes to talk about who you are and why you want this position. I guarantee you, the first question everyone is going to ask you is, tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this position. If you have your 3-minute elevator speech there ready, you can go ahead and answer that question for them. Prepare questions for the interviews in advance. So you're going through the interview thing, and then you're at the end of the interview asks you, do you have any questions for us? Yes, you always have questions for them. And this is where your research comes into play. Think about what you didn't search online and something maybe you want more information on, something you maybe want more clarification on that you didn't understand from their website. Do you want to know about their office culture, the culture at their institution? You want to see if they're a good fit for you as well. A lot of people just think that this interviewing process is just for the employer to know the candidate, but it's also the other way around as well. You want to make sure that the employer institution is the right fit for you. Something else about interviewing, a lot of people, they want examples of what you've done and how you achieved it, how you've overcome something. So don't forget, this is your time to shine. This is your time to talk about yourself and all the great things you've done and accomplished in your past roles and all of your experiences. So this is your time to shine and tell those employers and interviewers why you are qualified. And then be yourself, right? Like, no one wants to see someone that's fake in an interview. They want you to be you to see if this will be a good fit for you.
So our list of what not to do. Don't be inauthentic to meet the needs of the institution. Like Pooja said, you want to be your most authentic self. And if you stretch yourself and kind of bend your identity to meet the needs of maybe what you think an institution is looking for, you're not going to be happy later down the road if you do this. You really want to make sure, like we said, it's a good fit for you as well. And if, you're kind of like, oh, I just like really need a job and I'm going to kind of, I'll be okay with this. I'll let it go. It's really good to be your authentic self and to make sure that's something that, you know, you can work in that environment. And going back to making your list of non-negotiables, that will help you to kind of process through some of those things. Don't put yourself down. Remember, this is a chance to sell yourself and your skill set. Only positive self-talk. The job search process is really, really hard sometimes. And it's really easy to talk down to yourself or to doubt your self-worth whenever you say you have friends who are getting a ton of job interviews and you aren't. I know that that was a position that I was personally in when I graduated with my master's because I was location bound. I'm sorry, my friend is messaging me. And so, you know, it's really important to talk positively about yourself and to not amount that to worth because you're going to end up where you're called to be. And I really think that if you are positive and you really focus on your search and your needs, you're going to find the best fit for you. Please don't use profane or inappropriate language. I really don't have to explain that, you know, in too much depth, but it's kind of, it speaks for itself. Don't do it. It's not professional. It's not a good look. Do not refrain from implying or interviewing if you do not think you're good enough. Some job descriptions are confusing. 3 to 5 years of experience could count grad years at some schools, or, you know, sometimes it doesn't. Apply anyway. The worst that happens is that they say no to you, or they don't offer an interview. So, you know, if you're like, you know what, I really think I'm ready for this position, apply for it. The worst that happens is you don't get an interview. And then don't show up or don't show up or don't show up late. Just don't do this. If you're running late, tell someone. This is just really unprofessional unless you have a legitimate emergency. All right, and this is our contact information. So, you know, please feel free to connect with us via email. We would love to help you out. If you have any further questions about MAPC in general as well, we're the go-to resources for that. I'm sorry, my boss is messaging me. And then other than that, I'm gonna stop sharing. Does anyone have any questions for us? Sorry, ResLife's just blowing up everything. Let me see the chat. Okay. Any questions or things that folks want to talk about or concerns you're having with the process? Go ahead, Anthony.
So I have like pretty much this is like my supervisor helping me out a lot. So I have a bunch of stuff like already set up, and I actually do have like some interviews like requested already. Going through like some of my interview requests, some of them don't include a name. So I just go through like their website and trying to find like something like some like staff directory that I can look through like ResLife stuff or message them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple ways you can go about it. So you can go through and research ResLife. I know that some employers do have their like RD staff conducting interviews. And so I don't think it hurts to reach out and just say, hey, you know, my name is Anthony. I'll be interviewing with you on this date. I was just curious as to who I'm interviewing with so that I can prepare in advance and make sure that, you know, I just know who I'm talking to. I think that's fine. Knowing, because I know most of our employers, I think that that's something that I just think it's really valuable to know who you're talking to. So I think you could definitely approach it either way.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. Hello.
Yes.
I know it's an obvious that was a shift in my camera. Apologies for that. I know it's obvious to submit your resume onto your profile so employers can look at that. Is it typical to also then send a cover letter, like a generic one, when you apply, or is that more of afterwards if they are requested?
So you can, Pooja, do you want to answer this? You can do either.
Okay.
I know that so it's really confusing with MAPC. I know when I did MAPC, I did a general cover letter. But a lot of employers, if you say you go to round 2, they will like request that whenever you put in an application through their website. And so in, I think almost every case, you're going to put in a second application if you make it to round 2. That's where that would go. But if you want to do a general cover letter and have that available, you're welcome to do so. I know that's something that confused me really bad when I was a candidate. And so it's okay not to, but it doesn't hurt to.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Anything we can help with?
I have another one. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I know I had emailed Pooja, hello, about the MAPC scheduler.
Yeah.
And just, I don't think I received anything yet. So I don't know if I did something wrong on my end.
Let me check.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
If you don't mind me saying something,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
didn't think I received anything until yesterday either, but it's because my emails were going directly to my spam.
Yeah. A lot of
yeah.
MAPC scheduler emails have been going to spam. If you don't see it in spam, what I would do, go to mapcscheduler.com. You're going to type in the email address that you gave us when you registered and then hit forget password. It'll then get you to create a new one, and then 9 times out of 10 that works and you can get access to it right away in order to do that. If that doesn't work, just let me know and then I can help troubleshoot and then get you access to
Doing it as we speak.
it.
I just have another question for like when, like I guess for like dressing up for an interview, like virtually, is it like inappropriate to have like headphones or not? You know, like maybe to try to drown out maybe outside noise since I'm like living in a residence hall right now.
No, I think headphones are very appropriate, especially if you're using it in purpose of like being like concentrating. I don't think employers would look down upon it. I tend to, when I'm in professional meetings, also wear headphones. It's easier for me to concentrate and easier for me to hear with additional noise going around. So I think that's perfectly acceptable.
All right, thank you.
I think too, something I'm really trying to be cognizant of when we talk about professional attire is I just think it's like really elitist to be like, wear a suit, because like when I went through my first job search process, I didn't have money. I did a search before my master's degree and I could not afford a suit. But a lot of these people are like, oh, you have to wear a suit. You can't wear cotton. You have to wear poly. And I'm like, poly blend, like, what does that mean? And so I think it's really important to think about what professional looks like to you. If you want to wear like a bright shirt, I think that's fine. You know, because for me, it was important. I have a very out there personality. So I had like a nice, like kind of orangey tone shirt under my suit coat. And like, that was my way of kind of showing that. And so I think that just be cognizant of what that looks like. Just try not to, I would say like not wearing like shirts with like inappropriate phrases. But I always am just very cautious when I talk about attire because I think there's a lot of pressure in the business world to dress a certain way. And I think in our field, we're more accommodating and understanding of identities and, you know, being inclusive when it comes to some of those practices, if that makes sense. I just always feel weird telling people how to dress.
Me too.
Should we drop our email? Should we drop our email in the chat?
Yes, please drop your email. What we will do is if you all share your emails, I can send out all of the resources we talked about today, as well as that job search document. And then, you know, if you want to stay connected to us, I will drop our emails. Okay. If you want to drop your email, I know it's in the presentation, but please don't hesitate. No, that's not my email. I can't talk and type at the same time. So if we can help you in any way, please let us know. You know, we're here to support, we're here to help y'all out. We want you to get jobs. And so if we can be of support in any way, please let us know.
I'll share too, the session is being recorded. And so, whoa, my camera just did a weird thing too. Okay. And so we will have the recording put onto the Makuho website. But in the meantime, if you're looking to like watch it again, you can reach out to me and I'll put my email in as well. And I can send you the recording individually as well. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you all so much for your time today.
I'll add on too before folks leave. Thank you, Angela and Pooja, for hosting this. I think this has been really helpful, especially as folks are navigating a very challenging set of hiring season again. So thank you for your hard work and dedication. And then everybody else, if you're, like I said, if you want the recording of it, let me know. It'll go on the Makuho website. And then if you're interested in hosting a webinar in the future, if there's something you're really passionate about sharing, feel free to reach out to me as well. We shoot to have webinars at least once a month, with the potential for us to do that more frequently if we have folks interested in sharing content. So anything you're interested in, share that with us. And then if there's something you wish we had a webinar on, we will also take recommendations on content so we can solicit out to other presenters on what we may be missing and what folks are interested in. So thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Hello, I have a question again. I'm pretty sure you went over it, but I just wanted to clarify, where is the recording going to be available?
Yes, so we're going to work to get the recording up onto the Makuho website. That may not happen prior to MAPC. So if you're interested in getting a copy of the recording, just email me and I can send you a copy of the recording directly.
Thank you so much.